Hey, it's your buddy Peace and Harmony with you here today. We got in a great viewer question, and that is how to go no contact with a covert narcissist best friend. So when you are in a relationship with a covert narcissist, chances are it has been a while. It has been a relationship in the making. It has evolved over time, and this individual has been kind of a pillar in your life. They've been someone who's kind of always been there, been there in the background, been there in the foreground, been there really kind of as a loyal standby. And a covert narcissist really is oftentimes very aloof, very quiet, not one of many words, but oftentimes one of few words, but strong or poignant words. But the issue really when we talk about a covert narcissist is the fact that really underneath it all, or really, at the foundation of the relationship, is the fact that this relationship is serving them, their needs, at their time frame and on their terms, and you progressively learn that they're not really there for you, or they don't really get your needs, or there's really part of a disconnect in the relationship. And it comes time to let them go. It comes time to really understand that they are going to be in, as a very specific place or person in their life, and they're not going to be expressive to you or there for you or be able to relate to you on certain rungs of the relationship. They're not going to be able to be fully present. They're not going to be able to fully engage. They're not going to be able to fully connect with you. And so this can be very hurtful. It can be very it can cause a lot of internal pain because you feel like, well, I have disappointed this individual, or I have not been enough for this person. And really that's the wrong message. Even though you might feel this way when you're trying to kind of separate or let go of a covert narcissist, it's the fact that you feel that you can't be enough. You can't emote enough. You can't ask them enough questions. You can't provide them enough resources. You can't please them in a certain way, or you can't get a reaction out of them in a specific way, or you can't be validated by them in a specific way. So people then end up trying to work harder and harder to keep their relationship glued or together. They try to, analyze themselves. What do I need to change? How can I be a better friend? But realizing, that the relationship, you tend to kind of grow apart a little bit. But the key is that you need to grow. This person is going to be who they are, and they're going to have, kind of their own personality construct, and they might not be able to meet you in the middle. So number one, you have to really kind of understand and accept that, a covert narcissist is who they are. They're going to live and die by the fact that they have a specific self-interest at hand, and they're really not going to acknowledge and validate you in the way that you need. And they're not going to be able to understand your needs because they don't have these same needs. And you are truly kind of like two different people. Even though you might, have been there and had a lot of connection in the beginning, you're two very distinct and separate people. And I think this is what hurts because I think oftentimes there's such a feeling of closeness or enmeshment or entanglement where you're kind of too, connected, and, your lives kind of have worked together, or they've been there for you. Or really what I find, a lot of people have kind of built their lives around these people, and, or built their identity around these people, or been really close, or kind of, developed themselves as it relates to this person. So there's a kind of a interdependence there, or oftentimes a dependence where, I am this way because of you. I am this way because of you, and I'm this way because of you. And do you get me now? Do you see? And, so we should be best friends. So it's kind of like, a lot of people's personality development has hinged or depended on or been integrally related to this person. And so they kind of feel like this indebtedness, or I owe you, or I credit you for you being there. And, I have so much gratitude. I thank you so much for being who you are. And this other person's just kind of like, yeah, whatever. I am who I am, and they're not going to be able to validate, you in the same way, even though you might have been as impactful, as important, and as supportive for them. They're not oftentimes going to be able to validate your needs, or you're not going to be able to have that fluidity in relationship. And it can become very hurtful because you realize that they're not able to be there in certain ways. So there comes a time to let them go because it's not constructive. It is holding you down. It is holding you back. It's keeping you in a less than or stifled, stunted, and hindered kind of position. It's keeping you, it's not healthy. They might engage in certain behaviors or certain lifestyles that aren't, a match for you. And you have to really admit, like, you're growing, up, you're growing beyond. So, you have to give yourself permission to be able to, become independent and break free and become liberated, and that you can do it. I think oftentimes people feel so enmeshed, so entangled, and really so ensnared with these people that they feel a guilt by releasing them or guilt by letting them go, oftentimes a fear. And you know what? Living in fear is not a good situation. You don't want to constantly live in fear, trepidation, uncertainty, and that sort of distrust and that certain uncertainty. And so you kind of know in your heart of hearts what the right thing to do is, but it takes an acknowledgement, and it takes a sort of, yes, you can do this. So sometimes it takes a while to process, and then the letting go process can take place gradually. But you do need to let these people go because oftentimes it's not in your best interest, and you're keeping yourself feeling less than, or you're around a person who wants you to feel less than and won't acknowledge you and validate you and treat you in the way that you need and deserve to be treated. So it's kind of like realizing that you are important. And, as if not more important than this individual, because what ends up happening is the covert narcissist fits those individuals into a subservient role where, you are subservient to me for this, you are subservient to me for that. And you kind of feel like, you have to be in this, lower supportive position only. And oftentimes that's not good because you can't grow and fulfill your own life purpose, your own destiny, your own interests, your own creative voice underneath them. You can't always live in the shadows. You can't always live underneath. You can't always live with putting someone else first all the time. You end up getting negated. And so it's important to realize that you need to embrace that and the fact that you can and should let them go. And, the feeling like your shoulds need to become the I ams. I should do this. I should do that. I know better than this. I know better than that. So your shoulds now need to become alchemized and transmuted and transformed to the I am. I am letting go. I am now taking this day to do this and this. I am now seeking out these people who embrace and validate me in these ways. I am now engaging in these fun, happy, joyful experiences rather than feeling underneath, afraid, shy, inhibited, and things of this nature, who I must kind of fall into place, when I'm only with this individual. So when you let go, it's an emotional, it's an understanding, it's an intellectual, but furthermore, ceasing contact, feeling like you don't have to respond, even though it hurts, even though it's painful. You don't have to respond to all of the texts, the emails. You don't need to keep providing as a source of supply for them. You need to go out and take steps along, the path of your own life journey, which are embracing about putting you first and pursuing your interests and not feeling guilty, ashamed, or wrong for living your own life. Because I think that's part of the deep-seated issue, is that oftentimes in letting go of the covert narcissist, people feel that they are hurting them by living their own life. So it's kind of like this contorted thought pattern, which becomes, part of a codependency. So you need to go out and say, okay, I'm just going to experiment with going no contact. So allowing yourself to go out a little bit and let go, not attending to their texts, and not always trying to follow them on social media, putting up a focus on your life. And so when we talk about no contact, and if they're in your immediate environment, I see people who actually do this, who put their hand, something like here, so that they're literally not looking at this person. It's almost like literally you need to put physical blinders on. If this person is in your environment, and then you're kind of blocking them out physically so you're not looking at them. I know that those individuals who need to deal with psychopathic individuals need to absolutely positively not look at them in order to let go. So if you need to literally block your vision, you need to literally block your vision. If you need to, shut off the phone, you literally need to shut off the phone. If you need to, block the email, literally block the email. Don't respond to the same triggers. Realize that this person is going to try to continually trigger you with the emotions, and they're going to know and push your buttons. Don't allow, have some emotional strength and stability, and don't allow your buttons to be pushed. Don't allow, the same triggers to trigger you. Learn to have control and compassion for yourself, and realize that I don't want to become reactive in this way anymore, and get sort of that metacognition, that higher thought process going, and really grow your awareness of when your buttons are pushed. And when your buttons are pushed, come to a state of calm and quiet and self-control. And, do this and realize that, it's okay to be on your own, when you're letting go of a best friend. And oftentimes that is the solution, is being on your own, being alone, being independent, and exploring, like we discussed with the recovery journal, really exploring and going out, even though it's painful, even though it might be scary, even though it might be uncomfortable. That is where your success is going to be, because oftentimes your comfort zone is your failure zone. So you need to go out and really kind of give yourself the opportunity to explore different events, situations, people, workshops, activities, interests, reading, movies, other things that you can do to kind of break apart and start filling your calendar with these right away. So even if it's painful, even if habitually you're going back to this person, get your appointment book and begin writing in and filling your calendar with all sorts of situations, events, interests, doings that you can do. And I call that oftentimes the recovery date, where you're filling in your calendar with healthy and a more of a healed lifestyle. Because if you've become dependent on this person, their voice, their cajoling, their jokes, their slandering, their insults, it's not making you feel good, and yet you just need to break free. Don't worry about their reaction, because if that's what's holding you back, let their reactions go. Begin plugging in your calendar the events, the activities, the interests, the books, the new people, and don't report back to the covert narcissist what you're doing. Well, I'm doing this, I'm doing that. You don't need to report, explain, and justify yourself. You need to just do it, and do it for yourself. And slowly you'll begin to let go, and your life will take on more substance, more meaning, and you'll develop the trust and the belief in yourself. And then that will become reaffirming to you as the more you complete these activities, the more reinforcing it'll be, and the more you'll know in your heart that you made the right decision, choices, and behaviors. Peace and harmony with you here today. I hope these videos do help. Please share and please subscribe for more great tools, videos, discussion, and support.